Morning guys, I'm Kurt Boyko. This is coming to you live from Salmon Arm, British Columbia, up in Canada. This is my 2007 DS770. Lots of guys have been asking, I've seen a few of my other videos, the DS770 first fire, asking for a kind of a walk around. This is a build I've just completed a little while ago. So I'll give you kind of a rundown of what I've got, and then I'll pop the camera off and give you a few close-ups of what everything has been done. So this is a 2007 frame. The engine is from a 2000 that I used to own, and it's all been built up. So the 2007 I bought as a complete bike and stripped it right down. Had the frame powder coated. If anybody wants to know, the color is Illusion Orange Cherry. And I picked that color to kind of match with the flames. AMR did the decals, and they kind of custom designed the decals to closely match the frame color and stuff like that. The engine, I kind of gave everybody a rundown when I did that other video, but I'll give you a quick rundown again just so everybody knows what's in it. It started its life as a stock 650 engine. A few years ago I went to a 730 big bore cylinder or 105 millimeter cylinder, taking that displacement to 730. And then last year I did a 5 millimeter stroker crank, taking the displacement to 770 cc's. With that rebuild, I went to 13:1 compression. So now I'm running straight or full strength 108 octane VP race field or C12. Find it runs really well, pulls really strong. With that rebuild as well, I also lightened the flywheel. Any of you DS guys do a rebuild, make sure you get the flywheel lightened. It's a lot better on the engine, and it revs so fast, you really need to shift fast. With both rebuilds, I've also always freshened up the tranny, and I did back cut gears. Same thing guys, the back cut gears makes this thing shift so nice, you'll never ever miss a shift. For fueling, I run an Electron 46 high velocity carburetor, open air cleaner, no air box or anything like that, just a tube and air cleaner at the end. And with that carburetor, we're at about 2,500 feet of altitude here at home, and I run with a power jet hooked up. Like I said, it runs really strong. So otherwise than that, like I said, when I did this full chassis rebuild, I went with the set of Fireball upper and lower A-arms. They are 1 inch wider and 1 inch forward. I don't really know how it rides yet. I've got probably maybe 500, maybe 1,000 feet ride time on the bike. I've just driven it down the block once. So once I get a bit more ride time on it, I'll let you guys know. As well with that, the donor bike that I purchased had a bent steering stem, so I also purchased 2 inch longer steering stem, again from Fireball Racing. I always used to run a riser block because of my height, and I like the handlebars up a little bit higher, but so with the 2 inch rise in the steering stem, I don't have to use the riser block anymore. Same time from Fireball Racing again, I purchased a 4 inch extended swing arm. I like to lift the front tires if I want, and hopefully I can still do that. This motor makes a lot of power, so I don't really see that being an issue. Yeah, I think that's about it. I can maybe pop the camera off and kind of give you guys a close-up of a few things and kind of take a look at it from there. Bear with me for a second when I pop this off. Front end wise, you can see new bumpers just purchased off eBay. Motorsport Racing, I do believe they came from. Up front you can kind of see those A-arms now. Yeah, really nice company to work with. Fireball Racing replaced all the brake lines as well because they had to be longer, and those came from Streamline brake lines. Color matched up pretty good. I do run a set of Alba carbon fiber rad shrouds. They don't make them unfortunately anymore, and no guys, I don't want to sell them. They work really well, keeping the air directed through the rad and everything else. Also run a Ron Woods ignition box. This is the one without a rev limiter but the engine has been built properly. Head-wise, I have 1mm oversized valves, shim under bucket, so you can rev this motor till it won't rev anymore. When I'm riding stuff like that, guys, I always usually, you can rev this motor to 7-8 grand, no problem, probably even higher. It stops making power at about 6,500 RPM, so I usually shift at about 7, keeping it in the power band. If you're shifting any higher than that, you're just burning more fuel. As well, on this build, I went with the full Ron Woods system. You can see it there. All the rims were also powder coated, kind of hoping that they stand up and don't get too beat up. Out back, I run a 6-pack rack, usually carry a jerry can for extra fuel. It does like to suck the fuel pretty hard with that power jet hooked up, and if you're leaning on her pretty hard. Also run a nice little skull tail light. You can see the swing arm out back, and on their suggestion, I wanted a swing arm guard because I still ride this thing in the rocks and the gravel up here. They asked me if I wanted a swing arm guard from a DS or something else. I didn't know that was even possible, and they suggested I build it with a Banshee swing arm guard because Banshee parts are readily more available. Some of the DS parts are getting hard to come by, and so that worked out really well. You can also see the longer brake lines out back and the Alki shock. Gearing wise, if anybody wants to know, I run a 15 tooth front and a 42 back. I find that works well for me. Can easily do a nice hard second gear launch and jam into third right away and carry third gear up any of the big hills down in Idaho. You can also see I run a little temperature gauge there, and that is from ESR, or Eddie Sanders Racing. I like to keep an eye on the vitals just to kind of keep things going there. And up top, I run a separate oil pressure gauge and tachometer. You can see I run a set of fat bars. Anybody running an aftermarket carburetor, you probably need to do a different style throttle. I run a Moose throttle so I can get the full advantage of that electron carb. Up front, yeah, you can see that headlight wise, headlight has all been converted to an HID. And I also run an LED set of spotlights underneath. I can flick those on. You can see how bright they are. They light things up pretty good. And I'm sure some of you guys will want to see it run. I can throw the camera back on the tripod. Bike has not ran since yesterday morning. It's cold. Shop is a bit heated. But this is how electron-equipped DS should start all the time. Couple ways to the throttle. If your DS doesn't start like that, you need electron to make all the power you can. Yeah, I think that's about the basic rundown of everything I've got into this build. And lots of guys will ask me if it was expensive, and yeah, it was, but I enjoy riding, and I'm going to ride this bike for the next 5 or 10 years, so well worth the money, what I can say. If anybody has any questions, feel free to drop me a line and post it I'll post this up on YouTube in a little while, so hope to see you guys all on the trail one day, and have a great day.